how are you? My name is Icky Snow, and today we're doing something a little bit different than we normally do on these streams. If you've caught any of these in the past, you will know that usually I play video games. And in fact, I really like video games. But what you may not know about me is that for the past 11 years, I have played every single game that has been nominated as Game of the Year. So what we're doing today is we're going to rank those. We're going to rank all the ones that have been nominated and won Game of the Year. I'm not just going to be talking about what actually won, though. I also want to talk about the ones that were nominated for Game of the Year. The ones that probably deserved to win, or the ones that were easily squashed because they weren't even worth being up there with it. So we're going to be covering some controversial topics, such as certain years that may have won something that you wouldn't actually have thought would have won. And we're going to be ranking all of them from 2014, the first year of the Game Awards, the first year that there was a Game of the Year crowned by specifically the Game Awards. Now, don't get this wrong, there are a ton of companies that do Game Awards and Games of the Year, but we're specifically talking about the Game Awards, the ones that we all think of when we talk about the Game Awards. The one that's literally called the Game Awards. Yes, exactly, try hard. It started in, well, not 2014 to 2014, 2014 to 2025. I've played games since I was 2. Actually, earlier than that. I've played games as long as I had the ability to sit and play games. We actually have a VHS tape of me as a less than 1-year-old rocking back and forth watching my sisters play Spyro the Dragon, Ripto's Rage on the PS1. So I kind of have familiarity with video games. I've been around them my entire life, and I've played them my entire life. Starting with the PS1, going through almost every console that you could imagine, I have played them. And the majority of these games that have been nominated and won, I've played them too. So a lot of this will be me kind of deciding what my personal opinions were on them and whether or not they actually deserved it. PS3 or PS5, which is better? That's tough. I think PS3 had better games, but I think PS5, since it has such a large library, does have some incredible games on it. Plus, there's a lot of unforgettable ones that are on the PS5. But I mean, PS3 gave us a ton of incredible, iconic games, so you can't dislike the PS3. Hi, DY Smiling. How are you? Welcome to the stream. So, as I said, today we'll be ranking all kinds of games with all of the Game of the Year starting from 2014 to 2025 because 2014 was the first Game Awards. God of War 3 is peak. God of War 3 genuinely is peak. I did play it when I was in college, and exceptional, phenomenal game. Actually, in college, I got into the God of War series, and I actually beat all of the God of War games, starting with the very first God of War all the way through God of War 3. It's actually what really got me into the God of War series was playing it in college, because they released the what is it called? It's like the collection bundle, whatever. The PS3 had a habit of releasing a lot of bundles of games having the entire series in them. And God of War had like 6 or 7 games, 6-7 games. And I played that entire franchise when I was in college. So that was my first interaction with God of War, and I actually beat all of them, which is why I think the one that came out in, I want to say 2018. Are you buying my 6-7? Because yeah, that's fair. My brain rot hits hard. But yeah, I actually played all of them, and that's why I think when 2018, I think that's when the next God of War game was released. Pretty sure that's right. Whenever that one came out, that's why that one hit so hard, because it's actually a continuation. The 2 numbers suck. I mean, true, but they are just regular numbers. The problem is my brain has been brain rotted, and because of that, I can't not do the meme now, and it's unfortunate, but that's where we are in history. But yeah, so for this stream, for going over ranking all the Game Awards stuff, what I'll be doing is essentially I will be going to each game, looking at the games that were nominated with the game, giving my opinions on those games, and saying whether or not I think first off, the first one will be whether or not I think the game actually deserved to win that year, because some of these, no. Some of these, no. Some of these, it's shocking that they won compared to their competition. And then there's others where it's like, yeah, there was no competition. There's no reason that they should have ever been there. I don't know what that number is. Is that like 1 quadrillion? You're 1 quadrillion? Or is it you're just number 1? Is that what's happening? Okay, well, without further ado, let us jump on over to Google, because that's where I'll be doing my tier list. And here we are. So this is the tier list that I've set up. As you can see, I have separated it into 4 separate tiers. I have generational. These are the games that are phenomenal. They 100% should have won. And honestly, generations will be playing these games. The generations will be saying, yeah, these games were peak. These games deserved their award. They deserved it. 100%, and everybody should play these games. Deserved means these games were really good games. They deserved it, but I don't think everyone needs to play these games. I think they were good at the time. They definitely deserved it for that year, but it may not even necessarily be the best one in that category. It may just be a good game. Understandable are games that like you can get why they won. Personally, may not be a big fan of it. I may not even be the one I think deserved to win, but it's understandable why it won. Like, and then for instance, if you look down here, you can see some of these games. I'm sure taking a look through these, you can see ones that you're like, I would never play it, but I can get why it won. And that's essentially what this tier is. And then the very last tier, really? That tier is specifically for the games that, why did they win? How did they win? Who let them win? There is no reason that they should have won, and yet they won, and that's what that category is for. And for a couple of these, you'll see when we're looking at like the games that were nominated alongside them, that it is quite questionable how they were even put up there. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad games. It just means that compared to the competition, how were they even considered an option? And that's really what that category is for. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2022, and 2025 awards, I say is right. All of the games are good. I will see when I get to them. I've looked at them before. I know there's some phenomenal games with some very, very strong competition. So it'll be very interesting to see. You should rename it to Bruh. You know what? If that had come up at a different point, I definitely would have done it. But at this point, it's too late for me to go backsies, so we'll move forward with really. Mostly because I will be turning this into a video. So full everything aside, after I'm done with this will be edited, and I will be posting this video up on the channel at a later point. So that's where I'm going with this. I would like to move forward with not just doing gaming stuff, but also have other streams where I do content like this. I will be doing gaming still. This upcoming Thursday, I will be back to Clair Obscur. So if you were looking forward to me continuing to try those really, really hard bosses in Clair Obscur, such as the Duelists or the Chromatic Lampmaster, I will be continuing that on Thursday. I've also seen through spoilers on the internet that there is a new version of Simon. I barely beat the original version of Simon. But that'll all continue on Thursday. So if you're looking forward to more gaming stuff, I will be continuing on Thursday. Do not expect that my content will just stop being gaming, because I love gaming and I will continue to do gaming forever. But I do also need to make content that'll be very algorithm friendly as far as videos go, and this will do great. Probably, maybe, possibly. But without further ado, let us start on this tier list. So the big first thing is back in 2014, Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year of 2014. Now, let's look at the competition that Dragon Age had before I give any opinions on how I feel about Dragon Age. Wow, I am blindingly bright right now. Let me slide away from this. Nope, that's not gonna help. Yeah, so the screen is way too close to my face, and I really should have fixed that. But this is where we are. Maybe in the future I can fix the blinding brightness, but this is where we are right now. You think DS2 should have won? Well, this is how I feel about these games. So, in 2014, Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year for the year of 2014. Its competition was Bayonetta 2, which is a Nintendo game, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Nintendo Platinum Games. They make incredible games. But Bayonetta 2, it's like a Devil May Cry like it's one of those like action type games. But it just features a woman clad in very tight clothing, which is actually just her hair. And she uses guns and has like time stuff that goes on. They're interesting games. I've never played them, but I do know that the people who have played them do love them. Now, Dark Souls 2, FromSoft, of course, a classic, but most people did not like Dark Souls 2. Miyazaki did not have a hands-on approach to this game's development, and because of that, a lot of people had a worse experience of Dark Souls 2 compared to Dark Souls 1. I have played a little bit of it, and I can see where the negative feelings come from, but personally, I don't dislike the game. I think when it came out, it was definitely a point of controversy, and I think that it was definitely an overhated game. And I think it's mostly just because Miyazaki was not involved. Now, in 2025, going into 2026, most people will probably say they either love Dark Souls 2 or they hate Dark Souls 2, and there doesn't seem to be like an in-between. So we're really at a point where most people just don't like Dark Souls 2. Personally, I think it's an okay game. I think it's fun. I think it's good, but I don't think the majority of people agree. Now, Hearthstone. Hearthstone is very interesting because, as it says here, it is a collectible card video game. So we're going with a very different genre of game being up for nomination for Game of the Year. As it says, it was released under a free-to-play model. It's a card game based on Warcraft. It's very interesting that this would be nominated alongside the Goliaths of Dragon Age Inquisition, Dark Souls 2, and Bayonetta. A lot of people really love Hearthstone, and it's honestly surprising to me that Hearthstone didn't win it. Now, do I think Hearthstone would have deserved the win? No, I don't. But it is surprising that it didn't win, mostly just because of the fact that Hearthstone fans are diehard fans. Hearthstone fans are diehard fans, and with how many there are, it is genuinely surprising Hearthstone didn't win. But maybe in 2014 it wasn't as popular as it is now, because now there's a lot of people who play it, but they're pretty much set in their category. Why am I blinding white? Terrible. They're pretty much set in their category, and they're not really changing their opinion on it anytime soon. But the game's been out for so long that the people who do like Hearthstone are in Hearthstone for the long run. Now, we go to Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Genuinely underrated gem. Incredible game. From the same people who made the Batman Arkham games, it uses the similar type of combat. It's very action-based, very quick. Focuses on counters, and one of the coolest mechanics that have ever been put in video games. This game came out with the mechanic that they patented, so nobody else can make it. It is, I think it's called like the Nemesis system or something like that. It allows you to, when you get killed by an enemy, that enemy gets stronger, they level up, and they remember you. So there's a very cool combination of things with that. And basically it makes it very interesting because of the fact that there is almost a permanent way to keep playing the game, because if you die to an enemy, that enemy remembers you. If you fight enemies, you also get the ability to control them and make them fight for you. It's a very interesting, very unique game. But does it stand up to Dragon Age Inquisition? For this year, Dragon Age won, and genuinely, I personally believe Dragon Age deserved it. I am a huge Dragon Age fan. I have played all of the Dragon Age games, and Dragon Age Inquisition is the game that I played the most. Actually, fun fact about my name, Inky Snow. Inky Snow is a shortened name from Inquisitor Snow. Now, back in 2014, as a child, I loved naming my characters Snow in games, because I've always been obsessed with how the word Snow sounds. I think it's a great name. Well, I typed in the word Snow into Dragon Age Inquisition, and they would say Inquisitor Snow, and I loved that. I loved the way that sounded. And so for a long time, I went by Inquisitor Snow. More recently, it got knocked down to Inky Snow because in a lot of games, Inquisitor Snow is such a long thing, you can't type it in. So what I did is I shortened it to Inky, as I liked the way Inky sounded. I changed the K to a Q because sorry, it's already a Q. I used the Q, I made it Inky, so I used the Q instead of a K, and I liked the way Inky Snow sounded, and I went towards that with my content because I like Inky Snow, and you know what? It's set in my roots of Dragon Age Inquisition. So personally, I loved Dragon Age Inquisition. I played it so many different times. Your actions had consequences. There was almost infinite replayability. Now, compared to these other games, some people will argue Dragon Age Inquisition didn't deserve it. I personally loved Dragon Age Inquisition, and I felt like it deserved it versus these other games. Even though they're all incredible games in their own right, except maybe Hearthstone. That's a personal opinion. Not a big fan of Hearthstone. The rest of them, incredibly good games. They all deserved to be nominated. And then Dragon Age Inquisition, I personally believe deserved the win. Though I know a lot of other people, such as you, Tryhard, would say Dark Souls 2 deserved the win. There's honestly an argument to be made for Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor because it did do something that no other game has ever done before. It made a whole new system, gameplay system, that no other game has been able to do due to them patenting it. And honestly, that alone is enough of a reason for them not to deserve it, because them taking that ability away from other games truly was a nerf to the world of gaming and people who love games. As a Souls fan, yes, DS2 should have won, and I completely understand that entirely. I get that opinion, and I do think there is an argument to be made for that, genuinely. Like, Dragon Age Inquisition, Dark Souls 2, and Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, I think are the three that actually stood a chance that year. I don't think the other two games deserved to be up there alongside them, genuinely. Bayonetta is a great franchise, but I don't think it's as popular as the other three. I think it's more niche, and I think because of that, it nerfs it in the category of Game of the Year, and I don't think it should even be up there alongside the Goliaths, honestly. I feel like the hardest argument, or one of the biggest arguments, really probably should have been Shadow of Mordor, because I mean, genuinely, the gameplay was phenomenal, and it, like I said, introduced a whole new system that no other games have ever quite made their way back to, mostly because of the fact that they patented it and will not allow other people to do something as interesting as that. So, you know, that's a problem, but Dragon Age Inquisition is my personal pick for that Game of the Year as well. I do believe it deserved it, and I do believe it should have won, because it genuinely was a phenomenal game that you can play through like, how many times? You can play through it a ton of different times per character and have different outcomes. Because you can play as a male, female, and then 4 different races. And each one has a unique interaction with a lot of things, just depending on that. There's this one character, if you play as a female elf, you can have 7 different endings just based on that one gender and race combination. Because they can get into certain relationships and things like that would put it up there. But so that's the only character that has 7 endings, but they all have different types of endings, and that's how a lot of it plays out. Think Baldur's Gate with how many endings there are, except nowhere near as many as Baldur's Gate, because that's completely different. But for the year of 2014, Dragon Age Inquisition, I do believe, deserved the win. Now, that doesn't mean it's the best game on this list. Where would I personally rank it on this tier list? Honestly, I put it into the deserved category. I think it's an incredible game. I love it, but I don't think it's generational. I don't think I would make my kids play it, or grandkids should ever have to play it. It's a good game, but it's very aged. As a Dragon Age fan, I tried to play it again recently. I couldn't do it. The combat was too slow for me. I got Gen Z brain, and my brain won't allow me to play games like that anymore. They're too slow for me. I do like them, but it's just really hard for me, especially if I've played it before. It's really hard for me to enjoy it. So I'm going to put Dragon Age Inquisition into the deserved tier list. Not above, not below. I think deserved. I already feel like E33 is going to go top tier. If you've seen any of my streams, you'll know my feeling about E33. You'll know that, but we'll get there when we get there. That is the last one in this list, so you'll have to wait until we get to that moment, or if you watch the video in the future, you can always skip to that point. But this is going to bring on the year of 2015. You barely watched my E33 streams? Well, if you missed those streams, then you may still have an idea of how I feel about E33. If you ever get the opportunity to play your E33, if you haven't played E33, it is a game worth playing. It's a game worth playing. I will say it had some strong competition this year, but we'll get to my opinion on it versus the competition when we get to 2025. For now, we are moving to the year of 2015. In 2015, we had a phenomenal lineup as well. In 2015, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt won Game of the Year. Now, I don't know if you've ever played The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It is an incredible game, exceptional, phenomenal game. And the DLC that got released later on, not when this won, but later on, genuinely remarkable. Genuinely some of the best DLC to ever be put out in a game. They did exceptional gameplay with it. Even to the point that they had hair physics. I think it was the first game to have not just hair physics, but hair realism. Over time, Geralt's hair would grow and his beard would grow out. And if you wanted to not look like that, you could go get a shave and your haircut and things like that. It was the first game to do something like that. And that's one of the big things it has going for it. Plus, its graphics were way ahead of the time. If you play The Witcher 3 in 2025, you would swear that the game came out in this current generation of games because its graphics were so ahead of where they were at. Other games looked like garbage compared to it. But how does it compare to the games it was lined up against? All I heard about it is like there's a number of people die because of that number or whatever. That's the very beginning of the game, but there's so much more to that game. It's so complex. It's a beautiful game. You should really play through it if you ever get the opportunity. The story's so good. I think like Final Fantasy VII levels of good. So how does The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt compare to its competition? Well, this is such an insane lineup that I never would have guessed. Bloodborne came out the same year as The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Bloodborne, the game that is locked onto PS3 exclusively. You can play it on PS4 and PS5 through the PlayStation Now stuff, but it is exclusively on the PS3. Came out the same year as The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Insane. Bloodborne feels like such a genuinely old game. I love Bloodborne. I think it's sick. I think it's super dope, and I think it has such a good vibe to it. But it's crazy to think that it came out the same year as The Witcher 3. If you look at the graphics of The Witcher 3, it's incomparable. It's insane. As a Souls fan, Bloodborne should have won. I see that as well. Again, Bloodborne, exceptional, phenomenal game. But I do think The Witcher had a bunch of other things going for it. The story, the combat, the world. There was a lot there. Though Bloodborne did have some insanely good twists that definitely made hard competition for The Witcher 3. But Bloodborne came out the same year as The Witcher 3. If you've seen anything about Bloodborne in 2025, moving into 2026, you'll know most people are begging for a remake of this game because of how old the game looks and feels. It runs at 30 frames per second. That is unheard of in current days because any game that comes out now runs in 60 frames per second. And as a Souls fan, and most Souls fans will say, please, we're begging you, release it in 60 frames. We just want to play it on our PCs. That's all we want. Just release it. Just remake it again. Please, Sony, we're begging you. Stop being so greedy. Let FromSoft fix your game, fix their game, and release it to a new generation on Steam. You're already releasing games onto Steam. You might as well let Bloodborne be one of them. Anyways, so the same year Bloodborne and The Witcher 3 came out, so did Fallout 4. Fallout 4. Also, huge open world game, insane, so many different twists and turns, so many options, beautiful world, had some controversy, but incredible, impeccable game that also deserves to be up here in the nominations. Now, Fallout 4 was one that truly I hold close to my heart. I've played it so many times over the years. It's an exceptional, phenomenal game. I love it. I love it so much. I think the graphics were great. I have mixed feelings about the choice of putting voice acting in, but they did do some interesting things where it could register up to like I don't know, there was like thousands of names that it would register. So whatever you typed in, there was very much a likelihood that the game would register what you typed in and have the ability to say that name in context, which is really cool. It's a really cool idea. It wasn't the best implemented, but it was a very, very good idea. And genuinely, I think it did something exceptional. It definitely deserved awards, but did it deserve the Game of the Year award? I don't know. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. This one I've seen a lot of people have played. As far as I know, it's not as good as the other games. I personally have not played Metal Gear Solid, any of them. I know, blasphemy. Most people will be like, what? You haven't played those games? They're phenomenal. I get it. I just haven't had time. It's on my list. Will I ever play it? I don't know. It's on my list. But I didn't hear too many exceptional things about it. But at the end of the day, it's a Konami game, Kojima's involved. People loved it. I mean, if you know anything about Kojima fans, they will praise anything he does. That man is a god to them, just as Todd Howard is a god to us Bethesda fans. And you know, Miyazaki is a god to Soulsborne fans. And I could not tell you the name of the person in charge of CD Projekt Red. Fun fact, CD Projekt Red is also the ones who made Cyberpunk 2077. If you didn't know that, you should know that. So, you know, you have The Witcher 3, which is a phenomenal game, Cyberpunk, which launched terribly. And after that, the last one is Super Mario Maker, which to this day, people still love and worship. Super Mario Maker, incredible game. I think it's pretty niche, though. I think it's only Nintendo fans that enjoy it, really. And because of that, I don't really think it should be up here in the nominations, personally. I don't know, personally. But out of all these games, there's only 3 that I think actually should be up here as nominations. That's The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, Bloodborne, and Fallout 4. I think anybody could look at these nominations and agree with that fact. You can agree with that fact. Now, I do think most people would probably say The Witcher 3. And personally, my favorite is Fallout 4. I'm a huge Souls fan. I love Bloodborne. I think it's an exceptional game. But I do think that it was limited by the hardware of the time in a way that somehow The Witcher 3 and Fallout 4 I don't think fell into. Now, honestly, that probably has something to do with, I believe, the following year's Game of the Year. Because Bloodborne and Sekiro were being developed at the exact same time. The From Software team was separated between 2 different groups, the Bloodborne group and the Sekiro group. And I think both were phenomenal, exceptional games. I think, unfortunately, Bloodborne being a PlayStation exclusive is the only reason why it is a little bit lower on the tier list. I think if Bloodborne was available for all platforms, I think 100% would have won Game of the Year. But unfortunately for Bloodborne, PlayStation nerfed it. PlayStation nerfed its ability to win. Genuinely, 100%. It is PlayStation's fault. I love PlayStation. I'm a PlayStation stan. What can I say? But they sometimes make really, really dumb decisions, such as putting Bloodborne in an exclusive category and locking out a ton of players, including huge Souls fans who did not have access to play the game. Because of that, it kind of knocks it out of the running. Exceptional, phenomenal game, kind of knocks it out of the running. So we really only have 2 options, Witcher 3 and Fallout 4. Now, The Witcher 3 is exceptional, phenomenal game, loved by everyone. And I agree. I do believe The Witcher 3 deserved the win over Fallout 4. Now, personally, my favorite of this list is Fallout 4. I love Fallout 4. I have played it an infinite amount of times over the years. But compared to what The Witcher 3 did in 2015, it's not even a question. The Witcher deserved it. Its graphics were phenomenal. Its story was exceptional. The side quests, every single one of them had an impact. They meant something. The world felt alive, real, and beautiful, and the monsters were so well made. Anyone who was a fan of The Witcher, or people who weren't a fan of The Witcher, became fans of the Witcher series because of this game. I personally fell in love with The Witcher because of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It is because of that game that I fell in love with the franchise, which you can't say about a lot of other games. But genuinely, The Witcher 3, I think, deserved to win the Game of the Year for the year 2015. Next stream idea, ranking every FromSoft game. That is an exceptional idea. That is an exceptional idea, and I will definitely put that on a list. SMK, you don't think should be here? Oh, Super Mario Maker? No, I don't think it should be here. Definitely not. It wasn't good enough. It doesn't deserve to be up here. It's very, very niche, and it's very, very specifically a certain group. Sekiro, yeah, I know. Sekiro was phenomenal. I loved Sekiro. It was so good. It was so good. But yeah, I'm gonna actually, yeah. 1 second. What I also need to do at some point is figure out this lighting system I've got going on, because this is awful. I am pure white. I am blindingly white. If you looked at me, you would think I was the sun. Like, it's unfortunate. Tim forced to try hard. Well, yeah, if I could gift out points, I would gift you points. Try hard. Can you turn on dark mode on your browser? I don't know, because I'm in Wikipedia. I think this is technically dark mode. This is Wikipedia that's blindingly white. I don't think I have that ability on this. But I will try and figure out a solution to this for the next stream. I think, unfortunately, this is just how this one's going to have to look, which is sad. But The Witcher 3 won Game of the Year for 2015. So, question is, where do I put it on this list? Where do I put The Witcher 3 on the list, on my personal tier list? Well, genuinely, and anyone could probably guess this, I'm putting it up in deserved. I'm putting it up in deserved. Now, again, the competition's fierce. Bloodborne, phenomenal game. Phenomenal game. Oh my god, it's so good. But PlayStation nerfed its ability to win Game of the Year by making it only available on PlayStation. There is a ridiculous amount of people who never had the opportunity to play The Witcher 3, and that is genuinely due to PlayStation making the awful decision to make it an exclusive. They should never have done it. It needs to be remade, it needs to be released on Steam, and it needs to be available for anyone to play it, because it's never going to have the potential growth that it deserves without it. I genuinely think Bloodborne is up there as one of the top FromSoft games. It deserves to be up at the top. Honestly, it rivals Sekiro. Like, it's up there. It deserves it. My big three are Elden Ring, Sekiro, and Bloodborne. I know a lot of people love Dark Souls 3 or the Dark Souls franchise, but FromSoft, I think they cooked with Bloodborne, and PlayStation nerfed it. They did. They really did. You thought I was going to put it up at the top? Not in this case. I do love The Witcher, but I don't think it's generational. And to that note, so why deserved and not generational? Well, The Witcher 3 it's an exceptional game. Genuinely, they continue to release updates to make it look prettier and prettier, and they make it's an incredible game that to this day looks better than some games that are being released in this current generation of gaming. But why is it not generational? I think it's really hard for a lot of people to get into. The combat, I've heard a lot of critiques on, because the combat, instead of being super over the top, it plays more realistic. It's very, very drawn out sometimes, and some of them, they put a lot of flair into the swings. So not everyone enjoys that combat. Now, the story, I think, is exceptional. The side quests, I think, are exceptional. But the world is broken up into several different regions that you have to kind of fast travel to get to see those locations. And it's a little bit of a slow-paced story as well. So a lot of people, especially as we go forward and attention spans become less and less, I don't think they can focus on The Witcher. The Witcher's a little bit too much, personally. I've played The Witcher 3 like twice, and I tried to replay it recently. I couldn't get back into it. It was too long, it was too slow, and I think that a lot of people share that sentiment. Now, I do believe there's a niche out there that a lot of people love this game still, and they will continue to love it forever. I love this game too, but I can't make myself replay it. I think it just needs to be different, and that's about it. It's a good game. It's a very good game, but I don't think it stands up at the top of games. I don't think just anyone could pick up this game and love the game, because it's, you know, it's unique, maybe too unique. But it is an insanely good game. It deserved its title of Game of the Year, especially the year that it came out, due to the competition and what they were dealing with. Now, when it comes on this, I do think Dragon Age Inquisition is still my top dog for deserved tier. So I'm going to put The Witcher 3 behind Dragon Age Inquisition because I personally love Dragon Age Inquisition and I want it to be at that top spot for now. We'll see if anything else passes it, but for now. Moving on to the year 2016, we have an interesting choice. Overwatch won Game of the Year for 2016. Now, this begs a lot of questions. Why did Overwatch win Game of the Year 2016? Well, let's look at its competition, shall we? The year that Overwatch won Game of the Year, in case you don't know what Overwatch is a hero shooter where you play PvP. It is now 5 versus 5. Back then, it was 6 versus 6. And they were games where you would work with a group. Think Marvel Rivals, except the original Marvel Rivals. This is the game that invented the hero shooters. Of the time, revolutionary, incredible. It was one of the most watched esports of that year and moving forward. But let's look at its competition and see if it truly deserved that title. Its competition for that year, we have Doom 2016, the 2016 remake of Doom. It turned Doom from a boomer shooter into more of a action-packed shooter. It was incredibly good, and it was incredibly well paced. The year that it came out, I believe the year that it came out, it actually received a lot of backlash. I don't think a lot of people liked Doom the year that it came out. It was an exceptional game that deserved a lot of love, and later years would be seen with a lot more love. I've played it, and I do genuinely think it is an incredible game, and I think it deserves a lot more love. Well, what other competition do we have? Inside, incredible 2D puzzle platformer, insanely good game. But I think it's a little too niche. I think it's unfortunately a little too niche. It is interesting that it's up there. It is interesting that it actually won a nomination for Game of the Year. And I do think it is a very, very exceptional good game. Oh my god, I just realized that there's this. I just saw that on the side. It says appearance in giant letters. You could probably see that too. Anyways, lost my train of thought. I didn't know Wikipedia had a dark mode, you know? That was interesting. Well, yeah, the more you know, I guess. I nerfed myself. But if I do this again in the future, we win. We all win. We all win. I learned. This will probably go in the video. Doom. I do think Doom is exceptional. I think Doom is great. But Inside, I think, was an insanely good 2D platformer. If you haven't played Inside, I think it's worth a play. It is a little niche, but it is a very quick playthrough. It doesn't take very long, and you can honestly burn through it relatively quickly. An insanely good game. But what is the rest of the competition? I was gonna say something about that, but your cursor was over it, so I didn't. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't realize this was over here. I never once looked at it. So, well, that's on me. If I had looked slightly to my right, maybe I would have caught it, but here we are. This is how I am as a human. Sometimes I don't see the things that most people probably would. Now, moving past Inside, we have Titanfall 2, an exceptional first-person shooter with a remarkable story and some incredible gameplay. You can play as a normal man, and then you can jump into your mecha suit and play like your friggin', I don't know, Transformer or Neon Genesis Evangelion or something crazy. It's a very cool game, very good gameplay. You can like wall run and stuff like that. It's very unique, very fun gameplay. And finally, we have Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. On this list, my personal favorite. I loved Uncharted 4. I loved Uncharted 4. I will scream it from the rooftops. I loved Uncharted 4. Phenomenal, fantastic game, incredible story. Fantastic way to end the Uncharted series. Graphics ahead of their time. Beautiful game. It's exceptional. Such a good game. Such a beautiful game. You can beat it in under 6 hours. That's a fun fact. You actually get a trophy if you beat it in under 6 hours, which I've done. I've platinumed Uncharted 4. Now, does that mean I think it deserved Game of the Year 2016? No, honestly, no. It's an exceptional game, phenomenal game, but once again, nerfed by PlayStation. I love PlayStation, and during this time, exclusives were a big deal, and I was a PlayStation fanatic. But does that mean it deserves Game of the Year? No, PlayStation nerfs it by making it an exclusive. As someone who played PlayStation and loved PlayStation, I could not get my friends who were Xbox stans to play a game because it was on the PlayStation. Now, while I was playing these phenomenal games, they were playing Call of Duty, so we have other things that we don't have to talk about with that. They can go play their Call of Duty bubble. I'll play good games. No offense to people who like Call of Duty, it's just not that good anymore. Doom or TF2 or TT2 should have won. I mean, that's fair. And I think my personal pick for 2016 would go to Doom. I think Overwatch was overrated during the year. I personally don't think there is a situation where a multiplayer game should probably ever win Game of the Year, depending on what that multiplayer game is, and we will get to that in later years when a multiplayer game does win Game of the Year. But for the year of 2016, Doom was exceptional. It deserved so much love, so much more respect than it got, and in the following years, it does. It does win that love and respect. We just had to get to that point. Unfortunately, people had to learn that Doom was worth everything. And of the year 2016, 100% Doom was screwed over by Overwatch being the popular new thing, because Overwatch was everywhere. If you went to McDonald's, it was on the cups, it was on the windows, it was everywhere. If you went to any other restaurant, it was there. If you went to stores, there was posters of it, there was shirts of it, it was everywhere. It was marketed everywhere. And that's because at the time, Overwatch was incredible. I had my fair share of gameplay with Overwatch. I loved Overwatch. I thought it was great. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's good. Doom was very, very good, and Overwatch, as back in this time, was very, very good. But compared to Doom, not that good. And if you look at Overwatch in our current year of 2025, they've destroyed themselves. Overwatch 2 was absolute garbage. No one loved it. So it died. It died off. It's a dead game. It is. It's a dead game. People play it. They shouldn't. It's a dead game. Yeah, exactly, Tryhard. It's dead. People should stop playing Overwatch. They should let it die. Especially when their competition's Marvel Rivals, which is factually a better game. Or Deadlock, which is also factually a better game. My personal one's Marvel Rivals, but that's because I'm a Marvel stan. I will always love Marvel, even if I'm not a big fan of where the movies are at currently. But Marvel Rivals is better than Overwatch 2. Don't play Overwatch 2. Play Marvel Rivals. Or Deadlock. Either one's exceptional. You play either one of those. But for the year 2016, Doom, personally, I think should have won. But that is not what happened. What happened is Overwatch took home the Game of the Year. So that brings us back to the tier list. Overwatch, where do I rank it? And you're probably looking at this right now and already guessing. We know exactly where this is going. And you're right. Yeah, it's going to go in really. Because really? Really? Overwatch? Really? Really? We had Uncharted 4. We had Doom. We had Titanfall 2. Overwatch? Of all those games. And that's probably just because of the popularity due to it becoming an esport. And from there, we had a ton of very, very popular streamers, such as XQC, who gained his growth through Overwatch. Still doesn't make it that good of a game. It's a good game. It's not Doom 2016 good. It's not Uncharted 4 good. It's not Titanfall 2 good. It's more of a... Really? Now we are in the good years? Yeah, now we're getting to the exceptional stuff. Which... And this takes us to 2017. Arguably, an insanely good year for gaming. In fact, moving forward from this year forward, every year does tend to be pretty freaking good. But the game that won Game of the Year 2017 was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Insanely good game. But what was the competition? Well, let me see if I can find the right tab. This one? Okay. So what was the competition for 2017? I'm blinding white again. I'm gonna have to go dark mode every single time. What was the competition for Breath of the Wild in the year 2017? Well, if you don't know what Breath of the Wild is, you know what Breath of the Wild is. Don't lie to me. So its competition was Horizon Zero Dawn. Ooh, such a good game. Such a good game. Phenomenal. It takes like primitive, almost caveman or tribal like groups of people and puts them in a post-apocalyptic world where the world was destroyed and robots kind of run around looking like dinosaurs and other animals. Very, very, very good game. But it's a PlayStation exclusive at the time. It was a PlayStation exclusive, and that was a big part of it. I played Horizon Zero Dawn. I beat the game. I loved the game. Fun fact about this game, I was watching Naruto Shippuden while I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, so I have this weird link in my brain with Naruto Shippuden and Horizon Zero Dawn, and so I have a nostalgia link between the two things because I remember exactly there was this point where I was infiltrating a fort in Horizon Zero Dawn, stealthing through it, and at that same time on Naruto Shippuden, I was watching the training arc where Naruto is being trained by Killer Bee. Very, very, very good arc. And so I have this tie connection between those. But that aside, Horizon Zero Dawn was a remarkable game. Very, very, very good year. Now, I haven't played the sequel to it, and that's honestly just because I couldn't be bothered. It was a PlayStation exclusive once again, and I don't know. There was other incredible games out at the time, so I didn't play the sequel. But the first game was very, very good, and the first of its kind. You have like 135 hours on Breath of the Wild. That's insane. Breath of the Wild is very, very good. It's a very, very good game. Like I understand why people love it and are obsessed with it. It is exceptionally good. Okay, but this takes us on to Persona 5. Persona 5 came out the same year as Breath of the Wild. Exceptional story. Very good game. It is a turn-based game. So here's the thing, in 2017, Persona 5, a turn-based game, was nominated for Game of the Year. It was up in the running. So turn-based games have not been dead for a long time, and people still have loved them. Now, it didn't win, and the reason why I think it didn't win, there's a few reasons, but it's a very niche game. Not everyone loves turn-based games, and even worse than that for most people, it's also a JRPG, so it's Japanese, and it's anime. And you have to spend like an entire year in the game. Like you genuinely do like 365 days or something like that. And you go day by day. I played the game. I thought it was incredible. I loved it. I loved the art style. I loved the story. I loved the vibe of it. And I loved that you did do every single day because it genuinely allowed you the freedom of treating it as if you would treat a normal life. It was very, very good. Very, very good storytelling. But we also have Players Unknown Battlegrounds, PUBG. PUBG was huge the year it came out. Huge, record-breaking on Steam. I am surprised PUBG did not win Game of the Year due to how big it was. It is a battle royale, think like Fortnite, but it came out, I think, before Fortnite, I'm pretty sure. It was incredibly good. Everybody was playing it. I'm not a huge fan of it. Personally, I don't really like it that much. I love Fortnite, but I was not really a big fan of PUBG. But I did get why people liked PUBG. I understood it. I get why people like it. And our final one is Super Mario Odyssey. Also, exceptional game. The fact that there are 2 Nintendo games nominated for Game of the Year shows you how good of a year that was. That was when the Nintendo Switch came out. That's right. We're in 2025. The Switch 2 just came out. In 2017, that's when the first Switch came out. That's how long they were running with the first Switch. Yeah, that's how long. But Mario Odyssey was also an exceptionally good game. Like, genuinely, one of the best games Nintendo has ever made. Unfortunately for them, Nintendo made an even better game that same year in Breath of the Wild. Now, out of all these games, do I think Breath of the Wild deserved it? Should they have taken it home? Yeah, 100% yes. PUBG, I don't think should be on here. Again, multiplayer games, I don't think should be up for nomination for Game of the Year because it's a multiplayer game. They're never going to put as much love and respect into a multiplayer game, into a mass multiplayer game. I need to rephrase that. Into a mass multiplayer game, they're never going to put as much love into it as a game meant for one playthrough or for single player is going to. Not necessarily just single player, but a story-based game is always going to receive more love. Legend of Zelda, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, all incredible games. My personal favorite of the four is actually Persona 5, but 100%, it did not deserve Game of the Year. Don't get me wrong, even though I love it, it did not deserve Game of the Year. It is too niche of a game. It is way too niche of a game. Exceptionally good game, my favorite on this list, but way too niche. I think the real competition came down to Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. Both exceptional, phenomenal games, the year that they came out. Of the two, Breath of the Wild 100% deserved to take it home. It was incredible, it was groundbreaking, it was evolutionary. They managed to take the Switch hardware, which was garbage hardware, and made this huge, beautiful open world with very unique graphics, gave you the ability to climb anything, and unlocked honestly some of the most cool speedrunning things we've ever seen, such as surfing on shields. In fact, this game birthed a lot of speedrunners like Point Crow. I think Smollett may have been alive at the time, or alive, that's not the word, doing it at the time, already speedrunning at the time as well, but he also gained a lot of popularity through Breath of the Wild. A lot of speedrunners did, and genuinely this game gave birth to a whole new side of the internet, and exceptionally good game. It deserved a lot of love, and it deserved the Game of the Year. Now, where do I put it on the tier list? Because again, this tier list isn't about did it deserve Game of the Year or did it not. This tier list is about how I feel about these games. For me, Breath of the Wild's good, but it's not my favorite. I think it's understandable. Oh, I know, I'm sorry, I know, that's gonna hurt a lot of people. Don't get that category wrong. I think the game is exceptional, but it's not my favorite, and that's probably my Gen Z brain. It's probably where it comes into play, but it's not really my thing. I like a more grounded, more structured story, and Legend of Zelda gave you a lot of freedom. I like to be railroaded. I like to be railroaded in my story playthroughs, and I think Legend of Zelda just didn't do that for me. But I think it's an incredible game. It deserved it. It was groundbreaking game, phenomenal game. But for me, I understand why it won Game of the Year. In fact, I think it deserves Game of the Year. But personally, it's more understandable why it won Game of the Year. I lean more towards understandable than deserved because there were so many good games the year that came out. And Legend of Zelda was phenomenal, just not for me. Still gotta give this to Breath of the Wild. I do love SMO, but Breath of the Wild is a masterpiece, and we don't mention that Breath of the Wild was on Wii U. Oh my god, yeah. Breath of the Wild genuinely was a masterpiece. It definitely deserved the Game of the Year that it came out. In this tier list, more understandable, but for me personally. But yeah, I didn't even know it came out on the Wii U. That's crazy. You only watch Small Ant hide and seek videos and the 100% speedrun. That's fair. I have watched a few Small Ant videos, but I'm not a huge speedrunner fan. I'll watch a few of their videos, but like I don't get wrapped up in the speedrunning community too much. I just occasionally watch their videos. I'm not a huge speedrunning fanatic, but I do think they make very good content that I do enjoy. And Small Ant, I think he has some good stuff, and same with Point Crow. I think they have very, very good stuff. It's just Nintendo stuff really isn't for me, and that's probably because I grew up more so on PlayStation. I also did play Nintendo and Xbox, and pretty much anything you could think of. I grew up on it, but I much more prefer PlayStation. And you'll probably see that more and more the more we go through this list. You like the hide and seek videos? I think they're very, very fun. I think they do make a lot of fun content, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of it. I used to love, what are they called? Prop Hunt. Prop Hunt was a huge thing when I was growing up. I loved Prop Hunt videos. I thought they were so good. That was through Gmod on PC stuff, but I loved Prop Hunt. Prop Hunt was great. Okay, after the year 2017, that takes us to 2018. Now, in 2018, God of War came out. This was the remake, not remake of God of War. It's technically a continuation of God of War, but it kept being presented as if it was a remake. Not a remake, 100% not a remake, but it had some very, very strong competition the year that it came out. They did an SMO prop hunt with hide and seek rules. That's awesome. I definitely haven't seen that. That's sick though. That is super sick. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that though. But yeah, no, hide and seek games are friggin' dope. I do very much enjoy that content. It's one of those ones I can put up on like a second monitor while I'm doing something else at the same time. And I do enjoy those types of videos. You just don't know who posted that video? Yeah, I mean, there's so much, honestly, content out there, and there's so many different Super Mario Odyssey content creators, like CJA. Is it Sia or CJA? I don't remember how he pronounces it, but he makes a lot of content, so it could have been him. There's also a lot more, so it's like trying to list them all off is almost like impossible. But there's a ton of great content creators that do Super Mario content, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was any of them. But let's see what competition God of War had, because 2018 was a pretty stacked year. So, God of War, again, the game that won God of the Year. God of the Year? God of War, the game that won Game of the Year, had pretty strong competition. Such as Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I enjoyed it tremendously, actually, surprisingly. Most people will hate that I said that. Most people will hate that I said that. I loved Odyssey. I thought it was an exceptional RPG. Terrible Assassin's Creed game. Awful Assassin's Creed game. Absolute filth as an Assassin's Creed game. Pretty good as an RPG. If it didn't have the word Assassin's Creed in there, those two words, I think it would have done a lot better. Genuinely, if you look at any of the games, Assassin's Creed Origins forward, I think people don't like them because they're not the old stuff. I think if they had let Assassin's Creed die with Assassin's Creed 3, we probably would have a very different reaction to these games, because these games aren't awful. These games aren't awful. They're just not Assassin's Creed. And that's where the hate comes from. Personally, I hate that they keep using Assassin's Creed to name these games. These aren't Assassin's Creed. Even Shadows, which came out recently, fun game. It's fun. It's not like exceptional. It's not what Assassin's Creed 2 was. Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, 1, 3, 4, which is Black Flag, all exceptional games that deserve the love and respect. Assassin's Creed Odyssey? It makes you question why it's on this list. I think it's a good game. It's fun. But is it God of War fun? Does it compare to God of War? I don't think so. I find it hard to think anyone would. It's a good game. Not God of War. Not God of War good. That's questionable why they would ever think that. Insane thoughts. Don't know how it got up there. Must have been not a lot of competition that year. Except if you look down here, you can see Detroit Become Human. So why is that not in place of Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Personal preference, sure, but like, I think anybody would argue Detroit Become Human should have been here instead of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. In fact, it would have even had an actual chance to win Game of the Year because it was a fantastic game. Very niche though, so it probably wouldn't have, but you know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey shouldn't even be on this list, personally. I loved Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I thought it was very fun. I don't think it deserves to stand up against the likes of God of War or some of the lower ones down there. Such as Celeste. Celeste is one I have not played, but I've seen a lot of Celeste. I think it's a very, very, very pretty game with very unique movement. I think it's a good game. It's very interesting. Honestly, it's one I may end up playing on stream at some point because I haven't played it. I know it's indie. It's an indie game that was nominated for Game of the Year. Like, exceptional. It's a platformer, 2D platformer. It was loved by anyone who's played it. Anyone who's ever played it, they always say it's a perfect game and that anybody should play it. And I genuinely believe that it should go on my list of games that I am going to play. It's just when I get to it, I'll get to it. I have a long list of games and not really catching up on them. So, you know. Would you rather 100% speedrun Breath of the Wild or 100% speedrun Super Mario Odyssey? Honestly, Super Mario Odyssey. I like the world of it more. I think Breath of the Wild is sick. I love Breath of the Wild. But I do think Super Mario Odyssey is a game I enjoy a little bit more. I like the worlds that Super Mario Odyssey created because I feel like there's a lot of uniqueness in every environment. And I love that about it. Breath of the Wild, it's pretty, but it's all very much the same throughout the entire game. And that's just personal preference. I like the cartoonish colors of Odyssey, personally. Heard that it's just hard. I have also heard that Celeste is hard, but I've also heard that it's a lot of fun, and that most people who've played it say that it's very, very good. Not ending stream until I beat Celeste. That could be a great Saturday stream, honestly. I'll have to see how long of a game it is, though, before I commit to anything. But honestly, another great suggestion to go onto the list. I will definitely add it. But compared to Celeste, does Assassin's Creed Odyssey really deserve to be up here? Still no. And after Celeste, we have Marvel's Spider-Man. Absolutely phenomenal game. Came out on PlayStation, but exceptional. Oh, beautiful graphics. Web swinging is the best web swinging we had received since Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. You know, the movie tie-in game with Tobey Maguire. If you haven't played it, it was great. It was so fun. But Marvel's Spider-Man found a way to make web swinging fun again. It genuinely brought back that sense of momentum and energy and excitement that web swinging should have and hasn't had since Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, which is an insane thing. A lot of Spider-Man games have come out since that game. None of them did it like Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man did. Some people will still choose Spider-Man 2 on the PS2's web swinging because it was physics-based, so it would only attach to buildings and poles and things like that. Fun thing was if you attached to like a flagpole, you would just spin around it really fast. It was super fun. But Marvel's Spider-Man, it brought back that feeling of momentum and speed and just swinging through the city of New York. It was beautiful, exceptional game. You could run along the sides of buildings. They had fun Easter eggs all over the city, such as the Avengers Tower. It was cool. And it was during what was still the height of Marvel. Marvel was doing exceptional in theaters. And so Marvel's Spider-Man, incredible choice. Fantastic game where you get to fight the Sinister Six. Anybody who loved Spider-Man, this was a wet dream for them. Insanely good game. But what was the other competition? Monster Hunter World. For Monster Hunter fans, incredibly good game. Monster Hunter fans were eating up this year. They loved Monster Hunter World. Most people loved Monster Hunter World. I dipped my toes in Monster Hunter World. It wasn't for me, but I get why people loved Monster Hunter World. It is an exceptional game with some incredible boss hunts, incredible weapons, and a ton of customization. Incredibly good game. But the only real competition with God of War, and the one that most people argue should have won, was Red Dead Redemption 2. RD2. Exceptional game. Incredible cowboy simulator. How do you describe Red Dead 2? From the beautiful realistic graphics to the, I don't know, the gameplay, the fact that your hat can be shot off and you have to go pick it up if it is, the customization with the guns, the fact that your hair and beard grow out with time, the incredible side quests. It's a Rockstar game after all. The ghost hunts in the swamp, to the very, very, very emotional, sad story of Arthur Morgan. It was an iconic game that was beautiful and deserved a lot of love during that time. But its competition was 2018's God of War. The God of War returned. Kratos, back from the brink of destruction where he killed all of the gods of Olympus. In God of War 3, he finished the game by bashing in Zeus's face and leaving the world in pure chaos and destruction, and then killing himself. Well, a special cutscene, he came back to life, he walked away. And he shows up again in 2018 as God of War, with Kratos, living a new life. And we start the game with his wife having died, and he now has a son that he's raising. So the God of War 2018 game is about him raising his son and trying to come to terms with who he used to be and trying to be a better person and a good father, while not knowing how to do that because he's only ever been a God of War. Exceptional, beautiful game that started off incredibly good with the Baldur fight. I think it was Baldur. Pretty sure it was Baldur. Exceptional fight. So good. Such a good game. And the story of God of War, I think, was one that anybody could have consumed, would have loved it, and had Last of Us vibes. It had Last of Us vibes. It had the Last of Us vibes. That was a huge thing. God of War feeling like the Last of Us? This is the guy who killed all the gods, is now trying to raise a son and be a good guy. With some of the best bosses in gaming. The Valkyries were insane. God of War 2018 deserved its win. I know. RDR2, phenomenal game. Exceptionally good game. Marvel's Spider-Man, incredible as well. But God of War. And the craziest part, it was nerfed by PlayStation. This was a PlayStation exclusive. And it still won Game of the Year. If that doesn't tell you how good of a game this game is, I don't know what does. God of War won and deserved Game of the Year in 2018. It deserved it. It did. Factually. I loved RDR2. I loved it. I thought it was great. I love the fact that the NPCs will actually finish their meal and you can see them eat an entire cake and it's realistic. I loved that in Marvel's Spider-Man, you could see your reflection in the windows, and in the background you'd see New York City, and sometimes you could even see into the buildings. And the web slinging was phenomenal. God of War. Kratos as a dad was crazy. It was so good, and it was so transforming for the God of War series with such a compelling narrative. It deserved the win in 2018. It did. After this stream, we're gonna go back and watch the videos. That's fair. Wait, the in videos? What are the in videos? Oh, what's your favorite game from each console? There's so many consoles. I don't know. PlayStation 2, I think will be Kingdom Hearts 2. I loved KH2, my favorite. PS3, I think Infamous 2. PS4. Ooh, PS4 is hard. There's a lot of good games for the PS4. Probably God of War. God of War was phenomenal on the PS4. PS5. Ghost of Tsushima. Go to game. PS1, Spyro the Dragon, Ripto's Rage. Xbox, Halo. Gotta give it to Halo. Oh, no, actually, Fable. I lied. Fable's better. For the 360, Fable. For Xbox, Halo Combat Evolved. I never played any other I never played any other Xbox game after that. I didn't play the one, or so on and so forth. Nintendo DS, Pokemon Yellow, loved it. Sorry, that was Game Boy Advance, SP. Nintendo DS was Kingdom Hearts 365 over 2 days. Exceptional game. Steam, giant library. I don't know. Giant library. Poseidon was the worst. Yeah, Poseidon was the worst. Did I read that? I don't think I read that yet. Poseidon was awful. Such an awful fight. Such a great way to start the game, though. As a God of War fan, God of War 2018 deserved the win. Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. It deserved it. I think it was an exceptionally good story. And Little Nightmares. Little Nightmares was fun. Well, I do appreciate it if you can watch those. They were very, very fun. I did enjoy my time with those games. And I tried to make the videos as good as possible. Don't know if I succeeded, but I tried. Okay. So God of War won Game of the Year in 2018. Well, what does that mean for me? On this tier list, where do I personally put God of War 2018? I've already stated I'm a huge God of War fan. Does that mean I think it is generational? Do I think it deserved it? Do I think it's understandable, or do I question why it was even nominated? I think that is very, very obvious. I think it obviously deserved its win. And as a personal God of War fan, I think it deserved it more than The Witcher 3. Now, I still love my GOAT, Dragon Age Inquisition. That goes up at the top. But God of War, great game. Great game. Deserved it. Deserved, much deserved, should be there for sure. And I personally like it more than The Witcher 3, and I put it up ahead of it on the tier list. Yes. And now we move on to 2019, a crazy year for gaming. That is the year that Sekiro was released. Now, Sekiro, honestly, I'm surprised it won that year. I love Sekiro. I played it recently on stream. If you've seen my streams back in August, I believe, I streamed Sekiro to the point that I almost platinumed the game. I only stopped because October came along, and I was like, hey, it's a new month. I gotta do some Halloween stuff. So I moved on to Halloween. But I played Sekiro multiple times through, including with mods, which made the game harder. I thought it was a fantastic game, and I'm surprised it won because, as far as I knew, most people thought it was too hard to play. So I am surprised that it's up there, but I do think it's a phenomenal game. But what was its competition? Did it deserve to win? Well, let's find out. In 2019, Sekiro Die Twice won Game of the Year. It was a game made by FromSoft, the people who make Dark Souls, the people who make Bloodborne. In this game, you could parry bosses, and you could also fight them with a katana. You were not doing a lot of damage with the katana, though. You mostly depended on the parry. This was a whole new system from FromSoft. They've never made anything like this before, and not a lot of games have even thought of an idea close to it. This felt like a completely original idea that FromSoft absolutely cooked with. It was so good. So good. But what was it up against? Well, Control. Can you believe Control came out the same year as Sekiro Shadows Die Twice? An insanely trippy game with very, very, very good storytelling made by Remedy, a Goliath, a legend in storytelling, a legend in video games. Control was no different. Control was insanely good. The story was incredible, the graphics were insane, and oh my god, the crazy locations in the game, the bosses, not necessarily bosses, but the enemies, and so on and so forth. It was an insanely good game, exceptional design. But it was very niche. It was a very niche game. Not a lot of people are playing Control versus Sekiro. But what else is there? Death Stranding. Hideo Kojima. A god of the gaming industry. People who love Konami games worship Kojima as if he was a god. But people also did that with Miyazaki. Death Stranding, a game that is very niche, a very unique game where you play as a mailman delivering packages. I know that was an oversimplification of it, but that's what it is. You're a mailman delivering packages. Yes, there's more to the story than that, but the gameplay is you delivering packages. And it has a lot of interesting things in the world, but you play as Norman Reedus delivering packages and drinking Monster and pissing in a toilet. That literally happens. You literally do that. That's not a lie. Go look it up if you don't believe me. That's on YouTube. It's a part of the game. It's interesting. It's a game that Hideo Kojima made, and people thought it deserved to win because Hideo Kojima made it. And if there's anything you know about Kojima fans, they'll tell you he deserves to win everything because he made it. I don't believe that. FromSoft exists, and so do other companies. Square's my goat. My goat's Square Enix. The Outer Worlds also came out this year. The Outer Worlds are made by Obsidian Entertainment. They are the ones who made Fallout New Vegas. That's right, Fallout New Vegas. Bethesda occasionally branches in the word, reached out to other studios to have them work on games. They had Obsidian Entertainment make Fallout New Vegas, what most people will argue is the best Fallout game. Well, they got tired of working underneath Bethesda and they made their own studio. Well, they started making their own games anyways, and they made the Outer Worlds. Really good game, really good game. But it was nothing compared to Fallout games. It's interesting how the people who made Fallout New Vegas made the Outer Worlds because it's a good game, but it's no New Vegas. In fact, I wouldn't even say it's a Fallout 4. I wouldn't say it's as good as most of the other games that it's up against for storytelling. So it's interesting that the Outer Worlds was what it was, and because it was a good game, wasn't the best game. What else is there? Resident Evil 2 Remake came out this year. Personally, I feel like if there's a remake, then it shouldn't be up for nomination. Personally, I feel like remakes make the game null and void. Unless they do something different with the story, which, as far as Resident Evil 2 did, it didn't really do anything with the story. It was mostly a true-to-one retelling of the original story, so I'm going to say it didn't really deserve to be nominated. And then Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, insanely fun game, great game. They put Sora in Smash years after this. They put Sora in Smash, which, personal place in my heart, but I don't think it deserved to be nominated. And you go and come back over to the stream ends so I can easily see what you put. That's fair. I understand that. There's no LN3 video? No, not yet. I still need to make it. I haven't had time to work on it. I've been so busy nonstop with the streaming and trying to get shorts and things like that. It's been pretty nonstop, so I haven't been able to yet. But I am still working on the Little Nightmares 3 video, and I'm sorry it's not out yet. It's a work in progress. I apologize. But eventually it will come out. I just need the time to do so. Probably spend some time on one of these weekends to actually try and knock out as much of it as possible. So for 2019, there's not really a lot of competition this year, in my personal opinion. Super Smash Bros. Shouldn't be here. Great game. I don't think it deserves to be up for nomination. Resident Evil 2, same thing. I don't think it deserved nomination for being a remake. The Outer Worlds, great game, but honestly, compared to its competition, really shouldn't be up here. So between Sekiro, Control, and Death Stranding, I think Control is way too niche, and I think Death Stranding is way too niche. I think there was only one game that deserved to win Game of the Year, and I think it was Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Insanely good game compared to the rest of these games. Now, am I surprised it won? Actually, yes. There are a lot of fans of FromSoft, so that's not too surprising. But I know the argument when it came out was that Sekiro was way too hard. Most people could not stand how difficult the game was. A lot of people could not learn it. Years later, it would become known as one of the best games to ever exist. But at the year, it was very controversial. So I am surprised that it won Game of the Year, but I am glad that it did, and I think it deserved it. There's no question in my mind that it deserved Game of the Year. I'm just surprised that it did win Game of the Year. So I said I'm not surprised it won, so where would I personally put it on a tier list? Well, for me personally, That's honestly a hard question because I think it's a good game. I don't think it's generational. I don't think every single generation should play the game. I think it more so deserved it. No, I'm gonna put it understandable, and I know that's controversial for me because I loved Sekiro, but I don't know if it's good enough of a game that everybody should play this game. I think it's a game that a lot of people will love, a lot of people will enjoy. I personally loved it and enjoyed it, but I don't think a lot of people will love this game. I think it is more of a niche. I think it's more of a certain type of person who will enjoy it. Now, I do put it above Breath of the Wild, but I think it's more so understandable why it won. Again, look at its competition. Sekiro is a niche game. Control is a niche game. Death Stranding is a niche game. Outer Worlds is not a niche game, but it's not an exceptional game. It's nothing compared to the rest of like Bethesda's works. It doesn't compare to Fallout 4. Resident Evil 2, great game, but it's a remake. If it wasn't a remake, it probably would have won Game of the Year, but being a remake, it didn't. And then Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, exceptional game, phenomenal, fun, but it doesn't deserve to be, doesn't deserve to be Game of the Year. It's not a Game of the Year type game. So Sekiro, honestly, out of this list, is the one that makes the most sense to win. It's understandable that it won. Out of these, I don't think it necessarily deserved a win. I think, honestly, Control probably deserved the win, personally. And I love Sekiro. I own a Mortal Blade, if you don't believe me. But Control was just different. It was built different. And I think, honestly, it deserved the win. I think if there wasn't such a large amount of... pressure's not the word. A large amount of love put on FromSoft games, Control probably would have won. Remedy makes bangers. They don't miss. They make exceptionally phenomenal games, but they're niche, and people don't like the nicheness of Control. So I don't think it won because of that. Same with Death Stranding. Great game, but I think at the end of the day, it's very, very niche compared to Sekiro, which is also niche, but there's more FromSoft game fans than there are Mailman Simulator fans. So I think that's why Sekiro won. So I think it's understandable that Sekiro won Game of the Year. I don't think it necessarily deserves Game of the Year. Versus the competition, probably, but actually, I liked Control better. So I think it's understandable why it won, but I wouldn't say it necessarily deserved the Game of the Year. But this brings us to a very, very controversial year. A very, very bad year for most people, 2020. The year of the C word. I can't say it. YouTube doesn't like when people say that. So, the year that The Last of Us Part 2 won Game of the Year. Now, there's a reason why this is such a controversial year. If you look at its competition, you'll understand that I don't think it deserved it. 2020, the year of the pandemic. Insane year all around. Terrible, terrible things happening for most people. And for me, it was honestly normal. I have a job where it requires me to go in even during a pandemic. I was seen as an essential worker. So I never stopped working during this time. What was different for me was really going to like Walmart and things like that, where it was like, there's a lot less people than usual. That's interesting. But for the most part, the world continued normal for me, personally. In fact, during that time, I got super into working out, and I lost 100 pounds during that year. It was honestly a decent year for me, which is crazy, because for most people, it was an awful, awful year, and most people hated that year. But you can't deny that some insanely good games came out during the year of 2020. Now, the game that won was The Last of Us Part 2, and most people didn't like this game. I didn't like this game. I hated the game. I hated it. And mostly due to what happens within the first hour of the game. They didn't have to do my boy like that. And that's where I'll leave that. So, most people didn't really like The Last of Us 2, which makes it confusing why it broke all of the records for most awards won. Now, that if you look at the past, you can see that more awards were up for nomination over the years, but it doesn't break the fact that Last of Us Part 2 broke the record and became a big deal. What was its competition, though? Did it deserve it? Frankly, we'll find out. So, 2020 was a very interesting year. Animal Crossing New Horizons came out. It was an exceptionally good game. Exceptionally good game. Fun game. I loved it. Most people loved it. I don't know. It was fun, but it was never my niche. It is a niche game. Is very. How do you describe Animal Crossing? If you exist, you know what Animal Crossing is. But this year, the summer of 2020, was a particularly interesting year because it was not just about Animal Crossing. It was the summer of Doom Crossing, because Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing came out at the exact same time. So the two games were being played side by side, and they were such on opposite sides of the spectrum of gaming that everybody was talking about them. These were the two hot topics of the year of 2020. It was Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons. Those were the two big ones. Everyone was talking about them. Doom Eternal, exceptionally better than Doom 2016. Doom 2016, insane game. But Doom Eternal was better. Animal Crossing, everybody was playing. Everybody. If you think of like a content creator or a person you know, they were probably playing Animal Crossing during the pandemic. Most people were. But what was their competition? The Final Fantasy VII Remake. Personally, my favorite on this list. I loved the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It was incredibly well done, and it was made by my boy Tetsuya Nomura, the director for the Kingdom Hearts games. I thought the remake was exceptional. But here's my rule on remakes. I don't think they deserve a nomination for Game of the Year. Was Final Fantasy VII Remake technically different than the original Final Fantasy VII? Yeah, it was, and it was incredibly well done. But when there's already a story that exists from a long time ago and it's just being remade current day, it doesn't deserve to be up against games that are brand new, that have brand new fresh stories. And because of that, unfortunately, I think my GOAT, has to go out of the running. Remake should not have even been nominated, even though I loved it and I thought it was exceptional. Ghost of Tsushima. I loved Ghost of Tsushima. Exceptional game. My second favorite on this list. Incredibly good game, made by the people who made the Infamous franchise, which, as I stated earlier in the stream, Infamous 2 was my favorite PS3 game. It's so good. You should play it if you ever get the opportunity. Infamous 2. Exceptional. Great game. Great story. So old Japanese film, old martial arts type film, old samurai film. It's so good. Great game, great story. Great gameplay. The game that did Assassin's Creed better than Assassin's Creed. That was Ghost of Tsushima. And then Hades. Hades is the final game on this list. Came out, loved by everyone. Great roguelike, great art, good story. But it lost. It was a niche. And that's because this was the summer of Doom Crossing. So the part that confuses me is The Last of Us Part 2 winning. Because for me, and for most people, 2020 wasn't the year of The Last of Us Part 2. 2020 was the year of Doom Crossing. Now, they're both good games. They're not the games I would have picked. Personally, I think Ghost of Tsushima should have pulled in that back. I think Ghost of Tsushima deserved that win. Again, Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's a remake. I don't think remakes should necessarily be allowed to be up for role of Game of the Year. Even if I do love them, and I do think they're exceptional, I don't think they should be allowed to be on equal footing with brand new games that have brand new fresh stories and don't already have their story told before. So, out of this list, Ghost of Tsushima is my GOAT. I would have put Ghost of Tsushima as Game of the Year. Apparently people didn't agree with that sentiment, and again, I do believe it is because of the PlayStation nerf. Ghost of Tsushima was exclusive to PlayStation, so people really couldn't play it. And this was during 2020, the pandemic, where PS5 was released, and not available for most people. Most people could not buy a PS5, so Ghost of Tsushima was coming out on a platform that no one could play it on because most people didn't have it. So it was basically never going to happen. Where the real argument lies is Doom Crossing. Either Doom or Animal Crossing should have won Game of the Year this year. Factually. Factually. There's not an argument there. But between the two, I think Animal Crossing deserved it. Surprisingly, I know, because I'm not even a big fan of Animal Crossing. But I do think almost every single person in the world was playing Animal Crossing. It was widespread. You couldn't really meet someone who wasn't playing it or hadn't heard about it and said that they liked the game. It's very, very unique. Most people loved it. The only downside to it, I think most people disliked, was the fact that you can only play it for a certain amount of time a day, which, especially during the pandemic, is kind of aggravating. But I guess it gives you a purpose to find out what to do the next day. So there was that. But I think out of the year 2020, Animal Crossing New Horizons deserved that bag. But unfortunately, it didn't get it because The Last of Us Part 2 won it and broke the record for most awards given to a game. So The Last of Us Part 2 pulled in that bag that year. Now, where do I put it on this list? Is it generational? Is it deserved? Is it understandable? Or do I question why it won? Personally, I question why it won. I do think it is less questionable than Overwatch, so I'll put it on the left. I'll put it on the left side. But versus its competition, The Last of Us Part 2 really deserved to win? Really? Against Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, and Hades. Did The Last of Us Part 2 really deserve that win? I'm a Naughty Dog stan. I love Naughty Dog. I played Jak and Daxter 1, 2, 3, Combat X Racing, I think that's what it was called, or Jak X Racing, something like that. Daxter on the PSP. The only one I didn't play was Lost Frontiers. And I've played every single Uncharted game. I'm a Naughty Dog? I am a Naughty Dog fangirl, honestly. I'm a fangirl for Naughty Dog. When they really say they're going to release a new game, I squeal. But The Last of Us Part 2 didn't do that for me. And I think most people followed that sentiment, so it is surprising that it won. It is surprising. And I put it down on the really part of the tier list. Came back from the FNAF video just to say when I played FNAF, I didn't die until night 5 a.m. I ran out of power and I was not lucky. Well, I was not good at FNAF and I died constantly. You're such a naughty dog? I don't know if that's true or not. I think I'm a good dog. I am a good boy. I am a good boy. Sorry, all this talking makes you want some water. And I do yap. I'm a good yapper. But with that being said about The Last of Us 2, this brings us to the year 2021. Again, an exceptionally good year for gaming. And that's because the winner of that year was It Takes Two. Incredible game, exceptional game. But did it deserve versus its competition? Well, if we go to the year 2021, the game that won was It Takes Two. Dark Mode. The game that won was It Takes Two, but its competition, Deathloop by Arcane Studios. I question why this is up here. I do. I question why this is up here. I played Deathloop. It was fun. It wasn't great, and most people didn't really like Deathloop. For reference, in case you don't know, Arcane is the people who made Dishonored. They are a smaller part of Bethesda. Dishonored is one of the best franchises to ever be made. Deathloop isn't. Deathloop was decent. It was okay. But it wasn't like an exceptional game. So it's confusing as to why it is up here on this list, especially when it stands along the lines of Metroid Dread. Metroid fans loved this game. I didn't play it. It was a Nintendo game. Wasn't a big fan. I've never been a big Nintendo guy. It's fun. I like Nintendo products, but you know, Nintendo's Nintendo, and I have mixed feelings about Nintendo. I didn't play Metroid Dread, but I know a lot of people love it. I think personally it's way too niche, and I think most people will follow that sentiment, so I don't think it really stood much of a chance of winning. Moving past that, Psychonauts 2, exceptional game. A return from a game series that had not existed since like the PS2. It had been like 10 years since the last Psychonauts game. So a game that came out of nowhere, mind you, because I don't think there was any reveal trailers or anything. It was like, there was a reveal trailer not too long before the game was released. Exceptional game. Honestly, up there. It's up there in the running for Game of the Year. It's a platform game where you delve into the psyche of different people. Then there's Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. A great game, super fun game. I believe this one also made a reference to Kingdom Hearts, where you could get a Keyblade wrench, which was so cool. And a bunch of different other references to PlayStation games would also come out of the Rift. Great game, but again, it has other competition, such as Resident Evil Village, which I do believe for the year of 2021, there's only like 2 of these games that were really big deals during that year. And that's It Takes Two and Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil Village was everywhere. It was everywhere when it came out because everybody was gooning over Lady Dimitrescu. Everybody loved her. Dimitrescu, sorry. Lady Dimitrescu. Everybody was gooning over Lady Dimitrescu because for some reason tall lady equals attractive. I don't know. I don't get it personally. Not my thing. But you know, whatever. Teach their own. Resident Evil Village was loved by people. Honestly, one of the most fun games from Resident Evil. There was vampires. There was werewolves. There was fishmen. There was puppets, creepy puppets, and fetuses. The fetus thing was weird. And there was Magneto. They made a Magneto as well, which was also an interesting thing. But the game of the year that took home the bag was It Takes Two. I don't know if you've played It Takes Two, but oh, I'm not even gonna draw it out. It Takes Two deserved the win. In my opinion, It Takes Two deserved the win. Exceptionally good game. If you haven't played this game, find a friend, find a family member, find a loved one, play this game with them. It is so good. It is a husband and wife going through a tough time in their life, I think they're getting divorced, if I remember correctly. And they talk, their daughter makes a wish, they get turned into dolls, and they have to go through this wacky adventure of basically refining their love for each other to be turned back into humans. Crazy, fun, kooky adventure. Genuinely so fun. My wife and I played it together, and it was the most fun I've had playing a game in a very long time, especially with another person, because most of the time, co-op games just don't have that kind of love in them anymore, and co-op games don't exist. Co-op games are dead, unfortunately. So having a co-op game that not only is fun, but allows you to play on the couch together, insanely good. It deserved Game of the Year, the year that it came out. The gameplay was phenomenal. The fact that both players had different things that they were doing. It was so complex. It was so good. It was such a good story. The visuals were insane, and everything about it was perfect, including down to the point of torturing a poor stuffed animal elephant. Crazy time. And super fun time. It was great. The whole game was such a good experience, and it deserved Game of the Year. Now, in my opinion, on a tier list, where does it go? I've already made it stated, I don't think it's a really type situation. I don't think it's a really situation. Now, is it understandable? I think it's more than understandable. Is it deserved? This is going to be crazy. I think it is more than deserved. I think It Takes Two is a generational game. Now, does that mean you should play it more than once? Not necessarily, but I do think everybody ever should play this game with someone. It is such a fun time, and it is the closest you will get to a person while playing a game. It is so fun that like anybody could play it. It's one of those games that brings people who don't play games and gives them a reason to play one, and not only that, gives them a fun time. I will say it does depend on the type of people that you are, because if you play it with the wrong person, it can drive a relationship apart. If one of you is really good at games, the other one's not, and you being the person who's good at games doesn't handle that well, it could drive a divide between you. But if you're more than willing to let the person who's not good at games be not great at games and enjoy that company anyways, it is genuinely an incredibly fun time. My wife and I, when we played it for like a good 18 hours straight. She doesn't play games like that. I play games like that. She doesn't play games like that. We played it for 18 hours straight. That's crazy. It was an exceptionally good game with an incredibly good story and fantastic gameplay. It is a generational game. Every generation should play this game. They should, one, get friends, because let's be real, most of you don't have friends, and that's why you haven't played this game. So get friends and then play this game with them, because it's worth playing. It's definitely worth playing. It's a generational game. Genuinely. Play this game with someone, and you'll understand why. Moving past 2021, let's go to 2022. So, 2022, exceptional year in gaming. We're in the good years. We're in the good years of gaming. Elden Ring, the Game of the Year winner for 2022. Phenomenal game. Phenomenal. Exceptional. But let's look at its competition. Did it deserve to win Game of the Year 2022? Well, in 2022, Elden Ring won the game. Won the game? In 2022, Elden Ring won the award for Game of the Year 2022. But what is Elden Ring? Well, Elden Ring is an open world version of the Dark Souls franchise. It is exceptionally huge and gives you the freedom to explore to your leisure, which I do think is the best form of storytelling for a Souls game. Like, in my opinion, Elden Ring is the best FromSoft game that has ever existed and probably ever will. It is exceptionally good. It is a phenomenal game. And even better, they got one of the best writers of all time to write the lore for the game. George R.R. Martin, the creator of the Song of Ice and Fire, otherwise known as Game of Thrones to most people, he wrote the lore for Elden Ring. It is because of George R.R. Martin that we have the likes of Radon, the freaking Star Scourge Radon, the conqueror of the stars, later to become the consort of Marika, and Radagon and Queen Mikola and all these, not Queen Mikola, Mikola's a whole different person entirely. Marika's the queen. Anyways, you get my point. It is because of George R.R. Martin that we have these incredible, incredible characters, and then it is due to the genius of Miyazaki that we have the monster version of these characters. He took George R.R. Martin's writings and changed them to make a more fitting Souls-like world. But what was the competition for the year of 2022? A Plague Tale Requiem, one of the best story games to ever exist. A genuinely phenomenal, exceptional story game. I haven't played it, but I've seen plenty of gameplay about it, and it looks very, very, very good. And honestly, it deserves the nomination. It's a action adventure stealth video game, so you play as multiple characters, and they're like trying to escape during a plague. I don't know too much about it, but I know it was very, very good and it deserved to be up here. Personally, I can't say whether or not it deserved Game of the Year because I don't know much about it. But we also have God of War Ragnarok, exceptional game. I still haven't played it yet. It is on my list to play this game. Haven't done it yet. It's there though. And it is also one that was loved by everyone the year that it came out. In fact, phenomenal game. Most people would say it was up there for sure in the nominations. It deserved a running at the win. But, I mean, this year though, most people were pretty sure what was going to win. And they were all right. Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. Incredible, incredible game franchise. There was a lot of controversy around this one due to a really dumb reason. People didn't like how Aloy's face looked in this one. I don't know why. People are weird. But, I mean, I didn't play it. I didn't play this one either. I just couldn't be bothered to play it. And I feel like that was the sentiment of a lot of people. Horizon Forbidden West just didn't have that appeal. Not a lot of people cared to play it. People played it, but it wasn't like revolutionary. Stray, incredibly great indie game, very, very fun. But honestly, I don't know why it's up nominated for the Game of the Year because it was not like an exceptional journey. You play as a cat and you kind of explore a almost like a post-apocalyptic world that's like run by robots. It's interesting, but it's not like anything crazy. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I mean, honestly, I never played it. It's a Nintendo game. I have no opinion on it one way or the other. I think it's pretty obvious. Elden Ring deserved to win Game of the year of 2022, because Elden Ring was phenomenal, took the world by storm, and honestly, no one was talking about any of these other games because Elden Ring had such a big impact that people who didn't play Souls games were finally playing Souls games. This was people's introduction to Souls franchises, and in fact, it was my introduction to the Souls franchise. And Elden Ring genuinely deserved its win because it was a game that not only Souls fans could enjoy, but also casuals. Casuals enjoy this game like crazy. And it won Game of the Year because of that. So, that's pretty obvious it was going to win Game of the Year 2022. I feel like I don't need to spend too much time explaining why. So let's go back to this. Where would I rank it? I think it's pretty safe to say, and everyone can guess, I think this game is a generational game. I think everyone should give this game a chance. Even those who don't like Souls-likes should give this game a chance. This was my introduction to Souls games. I had played Dark Souls 1 a little bit a long time ago. I thought I hated Souls games because of that. I hated Dark Souls 1 the first time I played it. Elden Ring brought me back into the idea of loving Souls-likes, and honestly, Elden Ring is the only reason why I do love Souls-likes to this day. If it wasn't for Elden Ring, I would probably still hate Souls-likes. Now, I do put Elden Ring above It Takes Two on generational because I do think Elden Ring is a different kind of game. In my heart, it stands a little bit higher, but It Takes Two is also phenomenal. Both phenomenal, exceptional games, which is why they are in the generational department. I don't think I need to go on and on about Elden Ring because I feel like most people can understand the ranking of Elden Ring being generational and go, yeah, that makes sense. Everybody was talking about it, and it is an exceptional game. Some people will say it's overrated. Those people are dumb. I think that they should get better tasting games if they think Elden Ring's overrated, because it's a very good game. And honestly, with anything on this list, if you think it's overrated, I don't know, get good, get better taste. Or play the game, because you probably haven't played it. Or if you have played it, get good, because you're bad at games. I don't know what to tell you. Moving past 2022, we're moving to 2023. Another incredible year. Literally, the past few years have been exceptional for games. And 2023 continued that trend with Baldur's Gate 3, another one of my GOATs. It is up there on my highest list of favorite games, as was Elden Ring and quite a few others. Dragon Age Inquisition is also up at the top of that list, in which that doesn't give anything away. Still in the deserved category. Sekiro is also one of my favorite games, and it's understandable. So, you know, just because it's one of my favorites doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be ranked in generational. Now, that being said, what was Baldur's Gate 3's competition in the year of 2023? In the year of 2023, Baldur's Gate 3 got released. Incredible CRPG where it is so different from everything else that was released at the time. Now, I had never played a CRPG. I always hated the top-down feel of a CRPG. Baldur's Gate 3 was my first CRPG. We were in a time where the idea of CRPGs was a dead idea because studios did not think CRPGs would sell. Well, Larian released Baldur's Gate 3, phenomenal game that blew people away, including myself. I thought CRPGs were boring and dumb, and I didn't want to play them. But then I played Baldur's Gate 3. The freedom of choice in this game, the in-depth variety of storytelling and actions and consequences that they made, they thought of everything. Baldur's Gate 3 is based off of the D&D franchise. D&D is famously known for player freedom and understanding what players are going to do. Larian were the equivalent of a dungeon master. They thought of anything. If you were going to do something in the game, they thought it through well before you did. In certain interactions, you're supposed to have a conversation with an NPC, If you swap to another NPC, you can do certain things like steal from them and things like that. Well, things that you would think there's no way the developer thought of this. They did. I don't know how, but they thought of it. And they countered it. Everything. Everything you could think of. They had a special interaction for it. It's insane what they did with that game. It was like D&D brought to life. It's insane. And I'm a huge D&D stan. So it was insane to see a video game encompass what is D&D so perfectly. And Baldur's Gate 3 did that. But what was this competition? Alan Wake 2. Exceptional storytelling. Exceptional. Another game made by Remedy, the people that made Control. And Alan Wake 1, of course. Exceptional game. Honestly, if it was any other year, it probably could have won Game of the Year. But its competition was Baldur's Gate 3. Fortunately for them, their amazing storytelling just didn't stand a chance against Baldur's Gate 3. Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. The one argued as definitely going to be the Game of the Year. A lot of people were sold on the fact that there was no way Tears of the Kingdom was going to lose. Well, there's reasons for that. It took the formula from Breath of the Wild and expanded on it greatly. It gave a much larger world with a lot more environment to explore, and evolutionized it by adding in the idea of fusing different objects together in a way that engineers in their college classes were literally teaching students how physics worked based off of the idea of, or based off of using the in-game engine of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because that's how advanced of a system they made. It was insanely ahead of its time. But unfortunately for Tears of the Kingdom, it was up against Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3. We also had Marvel Spider-Man 2. Incredible, huge game that expanded way more than the first Marvel Spider-Man game did. Marvel Spider-Man 1, exceptional. Marvel Spider-Man 2, above and beyond. You fight Kraven, you fight Venom, the entire city gets destroyed. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. Just when you think the game's about to end, something new happens, and it just keeps going. And you get to play as Miles and Peter, and at one point you're fighting one of them. I'm not going to say which in case you ever play it, but the story has so many twists and turns. It's so well done. It feels like a Spider-Man story. It feels good. It's a great game. Some people loved it, others hated it. But that's the same with anything. Most people will hate things, and most people love things. Spider-Man 2, exceptional game. Very, very much deserved the nomination. Fortunately for it, it was up against Baldur's Gate 3. Resident Evil 4, this was a remake of Resident Evil 4. Not going to go on about it. It's a remake, doesn't deserve the nomination. That's how I feel about it. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, great game. It's another Super Mario game. In my opinion, it doesn't deserve the nomination. Super Mario is fun, but it's not groundbreaking. It's not like doing anything new. So that brings us to the four that really deserved the nominations: Baldur's Gate 3, Alan Wake 2, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and Spider-Man 2. Of these four, honestly, Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom were the two that were really up for the running. But Baldur's Gate 3 just did something exceptional. It made it to where your actions had just astounding consequences. There were so many things that Larian thought of that just we as humans shouldn't be able to think of. It's like they understood human brains at a point where it is insane. And that might have something to do with the fact that they were in beta for like 3 years. So that might have been part of the reason why they made such an exceptional game when the game finally released. They took all that data from players playing for all those years and used that to make their final product. And they listened. They did something that most games don't do. They just listened to their fans. So I think it's pretty safe to say 2023 was a lock in the bag Baldur's Gate 3 100% deserved its win in the year of 2023. Now, where does that put it on a tier list for me? Really? No, not really. It's well above that. It's more than understandable, more than deserved. I think it's another generational game. Genuinely, I think it is another generational game. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that anybody can enjoy. And I think you just have to give it that time to allow it to be. Because, like, I didn't think I would like a CRPG. CRPGs always looked boring. And I was more than likely not going to give it a chance. Until I saw gameplay footage online. And I saw people's interactions with the funny dialogue and the complex dialogue choices. And that's when I decided to give it a chance. And lo and behold, it is one of the greatest games of all time. It deserves to be up there on that generational tier list. Everybody should play it. People who don't even enjoy games will enjoy Baldur's Gate 3 more than likely. Sure, some may not, but more than likely they will enjoy Baldur's Gate 3 because it's that good of a game. And it has some insanely good voice actors, some insanely good graphics, and so many good just customization options. Not to mention the fact that in more recent years they have added in modding support. In recent years they have added in modding support, and because of that, it is a game that can continue to go on forever because people can straight up from the main menu of Baldur's Gate 3 install mods and allow you to make the game be whatever you want it to be, which even more makes Baldur's Gate 3 feel like D&D, feel like real D&D with homebrewed characters, rules, and races. And it's genuinely just a fantastic, fantastic game that everyone should play. Now, moving on from 2023, this takes us to 2024. So in 2024, Astrobot won Game of the Year. A great 3D platformer that is exclusive to PlayStation. But does Astrobot deserve Game of the Year for 2024? Well, what was the competition? The competition for Astrobot. In 2024, Astrobot won Game of the Year. In 2024, Astrobot won Game of the Year. Well, it was a 3D platformer that was essentially a love letter to all things PlayStation. A love letter to all things PlayStation. So, did that love letter deserve more love than the other nominations? Well, Astrobot showed all kinds of references to things such as Bloodborne or Final Fantasy or like Papa the Rappa, all kinds of PlayStation icons. It featured little references to every single PlayStation game that pretty much ever existed, except for Kingdom Hearts. I will not get over the fact that they did not reference Kingdom Hearts. That is a cruel, cruel world that we are in, but that's where we're at. But it made references to every single PlayStation game. If you can think of it, it was probably referenced. But was that truly better than the other nominees? Well, Balatro was a nomination for Game of the Year. Balatro, if you haven't seen it, is essentially like playing, I don't know, I think it's like poker or something like that. It's a card deck building game, which at first doesn't sound like it's that crazy, but it's one of those games that if you play it, you'll get lost in it for hours upon hours. Genuinely a truly complex game with a lot of thinking involved. I think it's exceptionally fun. I don't think it deserved Game of the Year. Some people were saying it deserved Game of the Year. Those people were on copium. They just liked the card game. It's a good game, very complex. It wasn't a Game of the Year worthy game. But what was next on the list? Well, Black Myth Wukong. This was the first game developed and released by a game studio that made mobile games, but had never officially made a platform game. So this was their first attempt at a platform game, and they made Black Myth Wukong. Exceptionally phenomenal game. Exceptionally phenomenal. It was very, very good, and it was one of China's first released games. It did exceptional numbers and was loved in China. In fact, they even shut down businesses so people could go home and play the game to support the product. And it was a very much deserved time to do so. It is a beautiful game that deserved all the love and respect that it got. And some undeserved hatred just because of the fact that it was Chinese, which later games would, and from other, studios will also face that kind of hate that is unnecessary. Just because a game is Chinese does not mean it deserves hatred from Americans. Just saying, America, it is okay to allow something to be good, even though it's not American, especially because we love Japanese games, so why can't we also love Chinese games? Black Myth Wukong, great game, phenomenal game, exceptional game. Honestly, was one that I was expecting to win Game of the Year for 2024, was surprised it didn't. After that, we have Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Incredible DLC. Personally, I don't think DLCs deserve to be nominated for Game of the Year, so I'm going to say doesn't deserve the win. Great DLC, but it's a DLC. It doesn't deserve to win Game of the Year, personally, in my opinion. Moving on from there, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's a remake of an old game, and as I said with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though it technically has new storytelling in it, it did already have a ground to work with, and so it doesn't necessarily deserve to win Game of the Year because it's a remake. In fact, that nomination probably should have gone to some other place because it's a remake. And the last one is Metaphor ReFantazio. These are from the people who made Persona. Great game, incredible game. I think it's too niche. I don't think it was ever going to win. I don't even think it was really in the running in people's minds. So what it really came down to was Astrobot, Balatro, and Black Myth Wukong, and truly, I think Black Myth Wukong deserved the win. Black Myth Wukong deserved it, 100%. There was no reason why Astrobot should have won over Black Myth Wukong. It was a much better game, factually, it just was. Astrobot was great. It was phenomenal. I loved it. It was so fun. I loved all the references to PlayStation because I'm a PlayStation stan. I grew up on PlayStation. It is my favorite console, and I love all of their games. But Black Myth Wukong, as the first game released by a Chinese studio, huge deal, loved worldwide, it deserved the win for the year 2024. My personal pick for Game of the Year 2024. It deserved it. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. What happened is Astrobot won. So, where do I rank Astrobot on the tier list? Well, crazy enough, I think it's understandable. I liked Astrobot. I thought it was a lot of fun, but I think it was just understandable why it won. I don't think it was necessarily deserved. I think Black Myth Wukong deserved that win, but I get why it won. It was great. It was fun. It deserved to be nominated for sure. I just don't know if it deserved the win over Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong was insane. It was insane, and it went over a lot of Chinese legends in a way that games never have done, because this is the first time China has ever been able to share their culture through video games, and it was a great game that deserved more love. But moving on from that, we go to the year 2025, our current year, and honestly, probably the best year in gaming. Probably the best year in gaming. If you look at all these games, this is probably the best year in gaming. Now, before I move on to that, we need to talk about something very important. If you look at all of the time over the year for what has won Game of the Year, we went from Dragon Age Inquisition, a AAA game studio, BioWare, that made phenomenal, exceptional games. Incredibly good, incredibly deserved it. Then we went to a AAA studio of Blizzard to Overwatch, which was not deserved. It was a multiplayer game, and it was really just there to take your money. That's about it. And the original versions of Overwatch, you had to buy the disc. You had to buy the game And then they sold you in-game microtransactions in the form of loot boxes. So you bought the game to buy loot boxes. So it was another game that was not there for you to have fun, but was there to take money from you. Okay. After that, what was the year after that? 2016? Oh, I was wrong. We went from Dragon Age, a game where AAA Studio won, and they had a great game, to another year with I believe also AAA. I think CD Projekt Red is also a AAA developer with also an exceptional game. To 2016, where Overwatch from Blizzard Entertainment won. It was very much a take your money kind of a situation. To 2017, where we're back to a very incredible game, a company winning. Also AAA though, from Nintendo, one of the greediest corporations to ever exist in this world. To 2018. Yeah, 2018 with God of War from Santa Monica, a niche game on a individual platform, winning. Also a AAA studio. Santa Monica is AAA. They've been making games for PlayStation for a very long time. They have the backing and funds of PlayStation. To 2019, where Sekiro Shadows Die Twice wins. Also from Software, make incredibly huge games, very big studio, basically AAA. To The Last of Us Part 2, Naughty Dog, again, AAA studio, very big game. They had a ton of money, they had a ton of funds, they've been making PlayStation games forever, but they won. Then we move on to 2021, where It Takes Two wins, a more AA studio, more indie, making a game and winning. Exceptionally good game, too. A game meant for players to have fun, and meant for players to love it and have fun with someone else. An indie developer winning. The Elden Ring, again, FromSoft, a huge game, but it was intended for you to have fun in a huge world. Baldur's Gate 3, Larian, a AA studio, otherwise known as an indie studio. They are closer to an indie size, and that is an indie developer winning. To 2024, where Astrobot won, but a few of the other ones that were up for nomination were also indie. To our current year of 2025, where we have Expedition 33. No matter how you feel about Expedition 33, it is an indie game. You can hate on it for that, but the original team is 33 people, and they slowly grew. It was a man with a vision, and his vision and dream brought in a ton of other people. It is an indie game at the end of the day, factually. They got more and more people involved due to their dream, but at the core of everything, it is a team of 33 people, and I feel like people who want to say they don't consider it indie don't understand what indie means. Indie does not mean tiny team of 2 people. Indie means independent developer. Indie means the people who are making the game are making a game that they enjoy. And Expedition 33 all started with a man with a dream to make a game that he enjoyed and thought other people would want to play. A man who started at Ubisoft, a AAA developer, well known for not caring about their gamers, and leaving that to chase a dream. And because of that, they won Game of the Year 2025. But let's look at the nominations. This was not too long ago that this happened, literally like a few days ago as of me recording this. But the nominations were Death Stranding 2, Kojima. Again, Kojima stands sure do worship their god, Hideo Kojima. Great game. The biggest thing I've seen about it is the Kojima simps saying that because it's Kojima, Death Stranding 2 deserved Best Narrative. Those people probably didn't play Clair Obscur, because Clair Obscur genuinely deserved it. Hideo Kojima loves making alternative games that have very interesting and weird stories, but they're not like exceptional. No offense if you like his stuff, they're not something that everybody is going to enjoy. Most people don't enjoy his stuff, actually, because of the fact that it's Mailman Simulator. Okay, well, Moving on from Hideo Kojima and Death Stranding 2, which is a sequel, mind you. It's a sequel, so they built off of the bones of Death Stranding 1, to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Now, people laugh at the fact that Donkey Kong Bonanza was nominated. I think they need to pay more attention to what this game is. It is a very fun game. It's very, very good. Honestly, if it was not this year, it probably would have been taken more seriously. It's the Mario Odyssey or the Tears of the Kingdom of 2025. The problem is that we have much bigger games of 2025, more along the lines of Baldur's Gate 3 or Elden Ring. Not Tears of the Kingdom levels. A good game, people love Tears of the Kingdom. It's hard to argue that it's up there along the heights of Elden Ring. Well, Donkey Kong Bonanza, great game. People should give a lot more respect, put more respect on its name. I hate Nintendo. I think Donkey Kong Bonanza was incredibly cool. I thought it was incredibly fun. I love the fact that you could rip boulders out of the earth, throw them and freeze them in air, and then jump on them. Sure, the transformations weren't anything too crazy, but the actual core mechanics of the game were really, really cool. And honestly, a new game for speedrunners, and that's sick. Because if there's anything we need, it's more speedrunning content. Speedrunners are incredibly fun, and they keep the internet being an entertaining place. So it's cool that we had Donkey Kong Bonanza. It deserved a nomination. But it's no Clair Obscure. Or any of these other games, mind you. Hades 2, a sequel to Hades 1, which also didn't win Game of the Year that it came out. Great game, continuation. The animation is insanely good on this game series. But at the end of the day, it's just Hades 2. It's a sequel to Hades. Good game, great game, but it's a sequel. And also an indie developer, which is good. But an indie developer, Supergiant Games. Hollow Knight Silksong, also great game, great game. I've played it recently, not a huge fan of it, but I see why people like the game, and I get why it's nominated. Beautiful, beautiful art. I like the movement, not a fan of the combat. And I get why it's nominated. Also, indie developer, sick, but it's a sequel. And to the argument of it deserved to win because of the fact that it sold incredible, huge amounts, record-breaking amounts of copies. It was a sequel, there was hype to it. It broke records because there was hype to it, due to the fact that it is a sequel. Moving on from there, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. No offense to Kingdom Come Deliverance, people, it was never going to win. It was never going to. Not against these other games. It's a good game, great RPG, but it was never going to win versus these other games. It's too niche. So to narrow it down, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, way too niche. Never stood a chance. Same with Death Stranding 2, way too niche. Never deserved a chance. It was never going to stand along the lights of the other four. Donkey Kong Bonanza, great game, Nintendo product. People aren't huge fans of Nintendo recently, but it is crazy how the year that Nintendo Switch 2 came out, its game isn't even argued about being worth being Game of the Year. In fact, most people mock it and say it didn't even deserve the nomination, even though I think it did. I think it deserved the nomination. I just don't think it deserved to win, which is why it didn't. Which narrows it down to 3. Very Obscure, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong. 3 incredible, exceptional games. Hades 2, great gameplay, great graphics. Hollow Knight, great gameplay, great graphics. But there's some stuff that I feel like they're both lacking. And I feel like Clair Obscure hits those itches for me. Clair Obscure has phenomenal music, phenomenal graphics, phenomenal gameplay, phenomenal story. It hits everything in a perfect way. The music is something that you could listen to outside of it and not be like, oh, it's video game music. You could think it was just classical music. The visuals, while most people may not enjoy, they're like an oil painting. They are insanely beautiful, and if you look at my very first stream, I actually genuinely say it looks like an oil painting because of how beautiful the graphics are. They're very well done. The turn-based combat is an evolution of turn-based combat. You can say, oh, it's like this game or this game, but it takes elements of them, it's inspired by them, and makes a game that you would love and want to play, because as someone who loves games, he wanted to make a game that gamers would love to play, that he would love to play. And so yeah, he took inspiration from other games, which shouldn't be an insult, mind you. That should be a compliment to those games. And to people who love those games, stop being insulted by it. Be complimented. understand that they wanted to make a game that you would enjoy, and instead you shat on them for doing something unique. A game series that's dead, a game type that's basically dead, they revived it. And not only revived it, they won Game of the Year. They showed game developers, hey, maybe fans are interested in this type of gameplay. Cool. They deserved it. And the story. Oh my god. To anybody who says that the story of Clair Obscur was not crazy or complex or anything like that, I feel like you just didn't understand the game. Don't take it at face value. There's layers to it. Like ogres. Or onions. There's layers to this story. And honestly, if you didn't enjoy the story of Clair Obscur, replay it and try using your brain this time. Because honestly, you probably just didn't understand it. Or maybe look up an analytical video online that tells you the story because you can't comprehend it by playing it. It's okay, we're not all that smart. I had to look up 80 hours of Elden Ring lore to understand everything about that game series. So, like, you know, it's okay. It's fine. Look it up if you can't comprehend it. It's okay, little buddy. But eventually you'll understand the story and actually probably like it. And if you continue to hate it, you're just wrong. But out of all of them, Clair Obscur deserved it. Also, an indie developer, even if you hate them. So, we have something unique this year where we have like 4 indie developers. Because I'm pretty sure Kingdom Deliverance, I'm pretty sure Warhorse Studios is also an indie developer. So we have 4 indie developers nominated and 1. So there's no reason to be angry about the fact that an indie developer won. We should be very happy and we should be putting him up on a pedestal. This was a good year for gaming. Exceptional games. So instead of being mad, be happy. Also, not even to mention the fact of all the other games that came out this year. My eye. Oh my god. Not to mention all the other games that came out this year, because it was an insanely good year. We also had Ghost of Yotei, an insanely good game, sequel to Sucker Punch's Ghost of Tsushima. Incredible game, incredible combat, and Ghost of Yotei was an evolution on that formula and made it even better. And factually, people have said that Ghost of Yotei is better than Ghost of Tsushima. We had Split Fiction, another game by the studio that made It Takes Two. Insanely good game, insanely fun, and it's a continuation of that type of gameplay story. We continue on these lists. You'll see Dispatch somewhere, you'll see Silent Hill F, and so on and so forth. I could read off every single game that came out this year, but there's one moral of the story. It's shut the fuck up. It's been a great year for gaming, so stop complaining. Just say thank you that we finally had a good year. Because how many times have we had a couple of good games come out, but most of them suck? I can go back to the list. Look at these two, for example. There's been a lot of bad years. This year has had so many good games that all of the good games couldn't be nominated for Game of the Year. And at the end of the day, one game pulled home the win. A game that was intended for people who love games. A game that was intended to be a love story to gamers. And it received a lot of hate because it was French. That's right, Expedition 33 deserved its win. And stop hating it because it's a different country. That's weird. That's really weird. Also, if you're an American who's hating on the French for being French, bro, we have Trump. Sorry. I know that probably made you mad, but we have Trump. We're a joke of a country. I'm going to say Expedition 33 is a generational game at the very top of this list, and that is because the story is something that everybody should experience, because it is a form of art, a form of storytelling that if it was a book, people would enjoy it. If it was a movie, people would enjoy it. If it was a TV show, people would enjoy it. The same cannot be said for a lot of these. Baldur's Gate 3 is only good as a video game. It Takes Two it could be liked in other forms, but is only as good as it is because it's a video game. Elden Ring will be interesting when it comes out as a movie. It is being turned into a movie by A24. We'll see. Maybe it's good. I feel like it's going to be bad, personally, but I hope it's good. Dragon Age Inquisition, only good because the video game. God of War could be a movie. It could be a movie, but I think it's better as a game. And, you know, so on and so forth. Last of Us Part 2, we've already seen the TV version of that, and most people hated it. Mostly because they hated the game, but, you know, like, there's a point to be made here. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a generational game everybody should experience in some way, shape, or form, and I think deserves the top of this list. It's not my favorite game, by the way. My favorite game has never been nominated for Game of the Year, and it probably never will be, because my favorite game series is Kingdom Hearts. That's right, screw you, it's Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 4, if it ever comes out, will never be nominated for Game of the Year. And I can accept that. So accept that your game didn't win, and it never will win. And to anybody who gets upset that Clair Obscur won, just know Hades didn't win either time Game of the Year, and neither did Death Stranding. So, get over yourself. You're wrong. That's it. And, yeah, Arc Raiders, it's fine. It's mid. It's not a Game of the Year material, so stop pretending. But that is my tier list for Game of the Year. For Game of the Year 2014 to 2025. This is my The Game Awards Game of the Year tier list. So, to go back over it, the really category, we have The Last of Us 2 and Overwatch, because they shouldn't have ever been there. Really, truly, they shouldn't. Understandable, Sekiro, Tears of the Kingdom, and Astrobot. I love Sekiro. I think it's a great game, but I think it's more understandable why it won versus it necessarily being one that most people would play. Tears of the Kingdom, same situation, same with Astrobot. Deserved. These are games that 100% deserved their win. There honestly wasn't really an argument to be made about it. Even if RDR2 was up against God of War 100% deserved it over RDR2 any day. And, you know, The Witcher 3, Inquisition, great games. Generational. These games are games everybody should play. If there's anything you get out of this video, I don't care. Stop typing that hate comment. Just realize that you need to play one of these 4 games. Or all 4 games. Genuinely, you need to play all 4 games. But let's be real. If you've already written one of these games off, you're not going to play it, because that's how we are as humans. Expedition 33, worth your time. Elden Ring, worth your time. Baldur's Gate 3, worth your time. It Takes Two, definitely worth your time. So, if there's anything you get out of this, go play these games. Don't play these games. And, yeah. So, there it is. Games of the Year 2014 to 2025. I hope you enjoyed this. This is actually going to be a short stream today. This is where I think I'm going to end it. This is all I had planned for today's stream. On Thursday, we will return to Order. On Thursday, we'll return to Clair Obscur to finish off the... Well, I say to finish off. To continue losing to the new hard bosses. And continue to die over and over again. But that's going to be it for today's stream. Thursday, we'll continue. I will eventually be putting out this video, so keep an eye out for that. I don't know how long it'll be. Hopefully before the end of the year. But I can't promise that. Great stream. Thank you. Thank you. I try sometimes. And honestly, try hard. You're probably not still here, but keep an eye out for future streams having your recommendations, because honestly, they're good recommendations, and I will probably implement them at some point. But as for tonight, this is where we're going to end tonight's stream. Thursday, we will continue by fighting the super bosses in Clair Obscur, and we'll continue on our path forward from there. But as for today, this is going to be it. So, if you are going to bed, good night. If you're waking up and starting your day, good morning. And to everyone else in between, goodbye. I will see all of you Thursday at 7 p.m. CT, where we play Clair Obscur. But till then, peace.